Greetings and salutations, everybody. I got my Boost Infinite beanie on. This thing is going to become like a relic, right? Like something really cool. Why do I say that? It's something that I myself and my colleagues have been talking about for months and months and months. And there were people who are just fans of Boost Mobile who just cannot accept the fact that what we were saying was a possibility. Now, I didn't have it all neatly packaged and put together for everybody. I just had an idea that if Boost Mobile continued down the trend that it was going on, that eventually they were going to crash and burn. And that is exactly what's happening right now. So if you guys don't know, last month Boost Mobile basically made a deal with AT&T. AT&T is going to be paying out 23 billion and they're going to get 50 megahertz of um, EchoStar's low band and mid band spectrum that they were not using, okay? So that helps out AT&T, right? And when you look at the way that Boost Mobile was going to operate, they said they were going to be a hybrid MVNO and you know, people were going to be cool with that. All right. Then a few days ago, it was made mention that EchoStar has no interest in paying the electric bill for their constructed cell sites, and so Boost Native 5G is going to turn off. Right? No electricity means no signal coming from those towers. Well, that totally sucked because there's a lot of people who report that the native Boost 5G network is pretty solid and pretty good. All right, so I'm like, great, Boost customers are just going to be solely reliant on AT&T and T-Mobile. Well, another bit of news has happened recently, and that I found out on X when I was on the X platform, and Elon Musk tweeted something, or posted something, and I was like, wait, what's going on here? And come to find out, through a buddy of mine that dropped a video, so go check out his video if you guys want to hear about, his perspective on things. EchoStar sells spectrum to Starlink. Starlink, with its ambitions for direct to cell or direct to device connectivity, Elon launched a bunch of satellites that he calls cell sites or cell tower sites that would initially beam connectivity to people's smartphones who have the network access to connect to those satellites. And getting the spectrum from Dish, who was talking about doing something like this last year, allows them to take more steps forward in their ambitions to turn this into a reality. And so what it looks like is that EchoStar sold its AWS-4 and its PCSH S-band, as well as other spectrums, for Starlink to be able to push forward through this. And yeah, myself and my colleagues, we've been saying it for months. We kind of seen the writing on the wall when it came to Boost Mobile, that they were not going to reach the status of fourth carrier in the US. Sucks, you know what I mean? But, Dish had a whole lot of debt, and Charlie Ergen did what he could to try and either get an extension of having to, meet the payments for that debt, or do what he can. I mean, he went to Washington and was lobbying to politicians. I mean, come on, like how much more groveling did the guy have to do? However, from my understanding, this is the best result with the FCC with their foot on Boost's neck. Of course, the president also was asking for the FCC and for EchoStar to come to some sort of agreement, to quit bickering about it, come to some sort of agreement where both parties are happy. So in this instance, EchoStar gets to have its debt slightly alleviated, right? So you're getting 23 billion from AT&T for that mid-band and low-band spectrum licensing purchase. And then you're going to stop paying the electric bill on your cell sites. So that's like money that's not going out of the company to pay. So therefore, the native Boost 5G shuts down. And then I think it's 17 billion that's being sold to Starlink, right? In the form of 8.5 billion. Actually, no, it's more than that because it's 8.5 billion cash that Starlink is giving EchoStar. It's 8.5 billion in stock that's also being, from Starlink. And then it's 2 billion going towards the debt interest. So if you kind of think about that, that's like 19 billion technically, 17 billion in cash and stocks, 2 billion going to the EchoStar debt interest. So that's the deal, right? For getting all the spectrum that's being sold off, mid band, low band being sold off to AT&T, some being sold off to Starlink. This is a very big deal for a lot of people. I had hopes, and other people had hopes that Boost would reach fourth carrier status. There are people who are afraid that now that there's only three major carriers in the US, prices are not only just gonna, you know, be expensive for phone service, but they're gonna continue to go higher and higher and higher. And I think a lot of us see that writing on the wall only because when you look at, carrier plans today, they all have that same jargon, which is 5-year price lock guarantee. Like, why would you need a price lock guarantee, Well, I mean, unless you plan to change, like you're trying to sucker people in into thinking that they're going to pay $69.99 a month, 5 years because it's price lock guaranteed for 5 years. But like a year from now, 2 years from now, the carriers are going to find some loophole in order to change your pricing or push you onto a different plan so you pay more. That's what everyone's worried about is paying more for phone service, right? This is why Boost Mobile had a leg up on people because they had a $25 plan. However, if Boost Mobile was able to get their own native 5G in more areas and get it more stable, more connected, they could have actually had a $25 plan that gave 100 gigs of data, making it even more of a competitor. But while these guys are out here with the one of the leaf blowers, I'm gonna say it like this, it's not they don't hate Boost Mobile, but people got to get that correct. You may not like the news that we're pitching to you guys of what we've discovered, but it's news that you need to know. You don't have to like it. But just because you don't like it doesn't mean that we, myself, my colleagues, that we're Boost haters. I really wanted Boost to be the fourth carrier. It would have been a great story. For how many years did I been supportive of Boost Mobile to be able to make a video talking about how they started off as an MVNO prepaid and became, prepaid under the Sprint flag, and then, Dish bought them and they became the fourth carrier. That would have been like a great story to talk about because there hasn't really been a prepaid company that started off prepaid MVNO and made its way as the nation's fourth carrier. Not one. And it seems like there's still not one.